I have been living on a remote island for the last 6 months. To some of you, this may sound idyllic, but is it as good as it seems? Don't get me wrong, it is paradise most of the time, but it does have its downsides, like most other things, right? So I want to be real with you and share some of the pros, but also some of the cons to island life and living off grid. Some may come as a surprise to you, some may not, but what I found interesting is that some of my cons can actually be turned into pros. So my name's Chloe, I live and work as a warden on a remote island in the Irish Sea called the Calf of Man. It's a bird observatory and nature hotspot measuring 1 square mile across around 600 acres. I'm one of 4 wardens that live and work here over the season, so from March through to November, no one's on here over the winter. Now, as the crow flies, as you can see, we're not actually that far from civilization. This is the Isle of Man just behind me here, but there's a 40-minute boat journey, strong currents, really bad weather at times. We can be really cut off and isolated from the real world just over there. So let's delve into some of the pros and cons, starting off with a con. So there is one residence on the Calf of Man, the observatory, the farmhouse. It dates back a few hundred years old. Now on one side it sleeps 4 wardens, and on the other side it can sleep up to 8 guests with the hostel accommodation. So at times there can be 12 people living under one roof. But the worst part is there is only one bathroom. Yes, you did hear me correctly, one bathroom. So when the observatory is busy, you do have to often wait for the bathroom, which is annoying, but it's manageable. We are used to it. What is worse is that as the wardens, we are in charge of keeping the observatory, bathroom included, clean, which leads to another one of my cons, general cleaning. So the observatory, like I said, is really old, it's very damp, and it's a working building. People are in and out all the time with shoes, boots, wellies, bags. It gets muddy, it gets dirty very quickly. So cleaning is a constant job. We implemented a cleaning rota this year to help distribute tasks like sweeping, mopping, emptying bins, etc., which has been really helpful. We all share the accommodation, we all have a duty to keep it clean, and it's just one of those things that we get used to here. I have touched upon the remoteness of this island. Now, to some of you that may be a pro, but to others it may be a con. The pros, you're away from the real world. You're away from stresses and pressures and noise, traffic, loads of people, and that can be blissful at times. But after a while, 9 months is quite a long time, you can start to miss things, which is a con. You're away from your family and friends. We have no shops or pubs here, and we can go weeks without seeing anyone new if the weather is bad and boats can't get out. Our food and supplies come by boats. We rely on good weather. If the weather is bad, it's simple, we don't get boats, and we may wait weeks for supplies or have to turn to our emergency rations and tins that we brought out with us at the beginning of the season. We just don't have the choice, we can't just go walking around the shops and pick things off the shelves. So the sugar cravings are real here, and the most talked about topic on the island between us all is food. You do miss things like takeaways and a good fresh pint. But there is a pro to this. So our outgoings are low, we don't spend much money here, and we do have to be resourceful, and we have to use what we have here, which can be incredibly satisfying and rewarding, and it makes you appreciate the small things so much more. I would say we definitely live a more sustainable life here. We're living closer to nature. When I go back to the mainland, to the UK, it takes a while to readjust to all the people and the sounds and the smells, and your senses are heightened. But not only that, I actually feel quite overwhelmed when I go into a shop. We have so much choice. We can get whatever we want, whenever we want, at the click of a button. Is it necessary? Probably not. And I think living this lifestyle here makes you realise that, and it does put things into perspective. So another con, we collect rainwater to use for our drinking water and our showers, washing up, etc. But this means, because we have a limited water supply, that our showers are restricted to once a week. And again, yes, you heard me right, once a week. I know to some people that would definitely be a deal breaker. But, we're all in the same boat here. We live an outdoorsy life, and it's just something we're used to here. But I would say shower day probably is one of the best days. It just makes you appreciate that shower so much more, and it's something I look forward to going off, not just a shower but a bath. I mean, what luxury. So just a quick side note, I've been making vlogs since I came out here in March, and I wanted to give an insight you as an audience into life here, remote island living, and what we as wardens get up to on a day-to-day basis. So please do watch my other vlogs and don't forget to subscribe. So let's get back into the pros and cons. I'm now going to talk about the weather, a classic Brit. This is the second most talked about topic here on the Carpet Man. After food, it's the weather. We predominantly work outdoors. The weather dictates our life here and everything we do. So the con, when the weather is bad, it can be really bad and can almost halt all the work that goes on here, from bird work to the estate work, and often we have to find indoor jobs and just hunker down, which can be quite cozy, and I do like it when it's quite wild. But a pro, when the weather is good, it can be glorious. Although we are on a small island seeing the same sights every day, depending on the weather and the light, it's different. It's always different, and that's what keeps it interesting. And you never know what you might see in terms of wildlife, but also different seasons bring different species and different colours to the landscape. We live our days and months with nature. You know, we often rise with the sun, we go to bed with the sunset. We are totally immersed in this environment. I love that aspect personally. That's a massive pro for me. So that leads to another pro. Often the work we do as estate wardens, it's reactive, so it depends on what's happening. But our day is highly varied, and that's another aspect of the role that I love. We could be carrying out wildlife surveys one day, from the seals to moth trapping, to then carrying out flailing and habitat management, fixing vehicles, maintaining the observatory, guest interaction and guest changeovers. Every day is different. But on the flip side, a con to the role. Some of you may be able to empathise with this. Within the conservation sector, there's not a huge amount of money. We're not in it for the money. We are in it because we love what we do and we love the environment. So out of the 4 wardens here, only 2 are paid, and there's not much pay, let's be honest. The other 2 are voluntary positions. So I guess the perks are we do get accommodation here included, and the volunteers get food included. So like I said, you know, our expenditures are very low, but we don't get paid much or anything at all here. Another con to the role is, again, many jobs in the conservation sector, they're often short-term or seasonal contracts. So we're here for 9 months, we're coming to the end of the season now, and we're all starting to think about the big questions, what we're doing over winter, what we're doing next year. So we don't have the same stability and security as, you know, normal jobs, I would say. It's something we just accept with the job, and we're obviously here because we like being here. A pro and a con, the people. So luckily and thankfully, this is a pro for me. So I worked with my team here 2 years ago. We get on really well, we work together really well. We're almost like a little family unit here. But it is a risk taking a role like this. Given you're working in such a small team in a remote and challenging environment, I think it's inevitable that you may come across some personality clashes, and I have heard some tales from the past. So like I said, it could really affect your time here in a negative way, but luckily for me, it's been a positive. The people I've been here with, I'm so grateful. Finally, the big one, the main pro, the island itself. It is so unique, it is so special, it is wild, it captivates you. And I think a lot of people that have visited the Calf, but also other islands around the UK and further afield, I think can share that feeling. There's definitely a sense of like spirituality, the closeness to nature, and also to the other people that live and work here. Given the fact that all 4 wardens here, myself included, have returned to the Calf for more than 1 season, I think that stands for something. The island will always hold a very special place in my heart, and I hope to continue returning in years to come. So this pro, it's the biggest one, and I think it outweighs all the cons for me anyway, and I think that's what keeps people coming back here. It's just the beauty of this place, and that is the biggest pro to living and working here. So there you go, the realities of living off-grid on a remote island. I think I've covered just about everything. I would be really interested to know your thoughts. So if you do have any questions, I'll be sure to answer them. Drop any comments in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe along to my channel. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you all next time.